Jeremy, talk about tattoo chef stock. Jeremy, talk about TDCF stock. Jeremy.
Dude, that intro never gets old to me.
Well, no, it reminds us of the best times of our lives on YouTube during the clown market when Jeremy was buying trash.
Well, I mean, what did he really do? Switch to big tech?
As predicted. As predicted.
Bro, it never ends. It's so stupid.
Bump, bump. We got a ghost here.
No, dude. Hey, did you? I know you don't really watch him that much, but did you watch the Rogan Trump interview?
I want to. I watched like maybe 5 minutes of it, but I think it drop last night.
Yeah, it dropped last night. I was at work, so when I'm at work, I can just fucking listen to whatever I want to do. So I threw it on. It's pretty good. I mean, like you can tell, right? On some level, I don't know that Rogan wanted to do it, but it was a pretty good interview. But you could tell, like Harris, there is no way she could do that interview for 3 hours. They talked, like Trump was actually talking about aliens at one point. So, but like, I don't know, man. I thought it was pretty cool. It kind of proves what I thought was going to happen, was that podcasts were actually going to become, if you're a politician, you're going to have to go on podcasts now. And when you have somebody who can't string 3 words together without a teleprompter, it's impossible for them to go on these podcasts.
Well, to caveat, we'll see if you actually have to go on podcasts, because I've noticed that Trump has been going on a lot, which I think is awesome. He's running a great campaign. But if Harris still wins, well, what do the podcasts really do?
Well, if Harris still wins, it means they stole the election again. But I do think that no matter what you do by the 2028 election, there's no way it's either one of two things. Either you're going to have to go on podcasts, or the entire thing is fake and it falls apart.
It's partially always fake, but
yeah.
I think stuff's looking pretty good for Trump. I mean, at least I've seen polls. I mean, not that polls necessarily mean anything, but I'm getting kind of a good feeling that Big Daddy might actually have a blowout. He might actually crush it.
Bro, I hope so. I can't even stand listening to that woman talk, because it's like California speak, right? It's up talk. So let me tell you what my plan is. I don't have one.
She's literally a figurehead. Like she's so bland and boring, and she just stands for the establishment, and there's nothing there. It's just a figurehead where the government's actually run by who knows who.
Yeah, dude, it's an empty suit. That's what it comes down to. And yeah, I can't deal with these people like Gavin Newsom, any of these people. I step back from the screen and I go, how can you, sitting there, like Trump has a lot of faults, but like people like Gavin Newsom are so fake. I just look at people and I go, how do you not see this? I'd rather have a politician that's real. I know you can't tell me everything if you want me to vote for you for, say, president. I know you can't just, I'm going to declassify all the Area 51 stuff, and you're going to find out that there's aliens and they visit us and they give us anal probes. But, when you're just sitting there listening to Gavin Newsom, a dude who's never done a hard day's work in his entire life, like that dude's never had a real job. And this dude's going to stand up there and lecture me. I'm like, in what world? In what world would you? How
you guys doing?
Good. Man. I'm shitting on Gavin Newsom right now.
Yeah.
But, in what world would you ever sit there and just look at Gavin Newsom and go, yeah, that's who I want to vote for?
He's hot.
Bro, he looks like Patrick Bateman. I would not be surprised at all if you threw on a Phil Collins album with a prostitute and started telling her about the album and then broke out his axe.
Yeah, well, a big part of the vote is, you're choosing between somebody that's ultra real and says things that you don't necessarily want to hear in polite company, or a very refined, nice politician that, says platitudes and makes me feel good. So, I mean, that's kind of a big choice there. I prefer somebody that's boisterous, says what they want, or says exactly what they mean. That's the kind of guy that I like. I don't like you said, the fake freaking politician. Oh, yeah, see, I'm a politician. It's freaking lame. It's boring. And Trump's funny.
Well, dude, it's because you can see through it. You're like, that's not what that guy really thinks.
Most people fall for. I mean, all of reality is mostly illusion. I mean, there's so many con men out there and so much fakery, and it exists because people fall for it. I mean, it's in the finance realm, the politics realm. It's everywhere in humanity.
Well, yeah, because this live stream probably wouldn't have started if I didn't text you and go, hey, have you seen this guy, Jeremy Lefebvre?
Yeah, did you email me first or did I email you?
No, I saw one of your things and then I emailed you. I was like, hey, man, let's do a live stream. And then we started talking about Ryan Scribner. But Ryan Scribner introduced me to Jeremy Lefebvre because he was because I wanted to see what these courses were. And Scribner's was $100. And I was like, I can afford that. And then I go on his Teachable about investing. And he has the way I describe it is a poorly worded C+ level PowerPoint slide on investing at your local community college. And I'm like, this can't be fucking real. You know what I mean?
Real. Did you see my Chris Sane video? It gets even worse than Ryan Scribner.
Oh, I know. I just think, well, Down syndrome sane, yeah, but I actually view Chris Sane as a good thing because it's because I'm like, all right, well, this is a special needs guy. So if he wants to pretend he understands finance, but Ryan Scribner is a giant dork that wears mom jeans.
His channel fell off the deep end, man. He's got 809. He's got a shit ton of subscribers, but his channel is sometimes he'll post a video and he'll get 1,000 views, which is insane for a channel that size.
Well, that tells you that a lot of the subs are actually fake.
Well, but then other videos he does get views. So it's sometimes when you post a video your audience really doesn't want to see, when I was posting those accounting videos, I normally get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 views. Those videos would get 40 views. So sometimes if your audience totally doesn't want to see it, doesn't care, you'd be shocked about how bad your
dude, I actually liked your accounting videos because I was like, this is actually real useful knowledge in life.
Boring.
No, I get it. It is. But when you are explaining a lot of the accounting principles, you're like, okay, well, this is useful and it's just going to make me better.
That's true. But you know what? We don't want to get better. We want to get rich quick.
Tomorrow.
By the way, thank you for the super chat. I just wanted to thank you before I put this down. So Fabio, who you voting for? You're a Kamala guy, aren't you?
Yeah, you're a Harris supporter here.
No. I I don't know if I will participate, but it's Florida's Trump anyway, so
Bro, he's got to win the popular vote. Doesn't matter. Vote like you're behind. Dude,
Yeah.
dude, if Harris gets in there, she's going to try and take our guns. I know you're not so much into guns, but like you should have the option to have guns. And then she's going to transition us to Chinese style socialism. So you'll be speaking Chinese and then you'll like overdose on MSG.
Nagi, 你好是吗?
Fuck you, man.
Fabio's already getting ready for the Chinese takeover of the world.
Dude, and then like they're going to put like chemicals in the water that turn you into a fat pussy like Tim Waltz.
Oh damn, no.
Hey, hold on a minute. I only drink tap water, Jay Nagy. Are you calling me a fat pussy?
No, they're gonna do that when he gets in there. Like you're gonna.
Oh, it's not there yet. Okay, got it.
No, it's not there yet. But like, you're gonna find yourself thinking things like, "I should probably go in the shower and shave my legs," and then you're gonna be like, "What? Why did I think that?"
Have you ever shaved your legs?
No, it sounds awful. I had friends in high school who were swimmers, and they would talk about how awful it was to shave their legs. They were like, dude, I got to shave my legs before my meet. And they're like, then it grows in and it's super itchy.
Yeah, the only thing I shave, obviously, is my face. And recently I've had a bunch of hair, like an insane amount of hair growing on my upper back.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to have that cut at the barber, too.
Bro, that's like the 35-year-old back hair tax.
Dude, it's real. Like, I'm like, where did this freaking hair come from?
Fabio, how old are you?
27.
So about like 5 more years. You're going to start noticing like the back hair is going to start coming in.
The back hair. Oh.
No, Fabio's going to be so rich. He's going to have like, like age reversal drugs.
Fabio's going to
be that youth, fresh youth forever.
No, dude, Fabio's going to be sitting there and he's going to have enough money to pay a woman to shave his back.
All she does is come over only to do that one task.
He's going to be like, I got to do a live stream, but I got to get my back shaved first.
Dude, she puts on makeup. She dresses all hot. She walks in the house. You're like, you got a clipper on the table. You're like, all right, grab that and get to work and then get the hell out of my house.
And then she's going to start making TikToks about being Fabio's back shaver.
Oh, I've seen some of these well, I don't see them on TikTok because I don't use that app, but yeah, I've seen those. I sent you something that the algorithm gave me. It's, I don't know if you want to play that, but it's just for the conversation we're having. You can share it with Jay Nagy later. Okay, or if you want to play it.
Oh yeah, we're playing it.
What is it?
So
is this?
Yeah, we're playing it, boys. All right, pull up Discord.
Boy better be home.
This is a meme that the algorithm gave.
Oh my God, I'm so gay. I'm so gay. Yeah, okay. Oh my God, I'm so gay. I'm so gay. Hip hip hooray!
You guys were saying that all that stuff, and then I was like, "That's funny," because like the algorithm just like sent me that.
Bro, as much as like the algorithm is going to be the downfall of modern civilization, 3 scums on earth. This guy doesn't like us.
Why? Why would you not like me? I'm actually a good guy deep down. I want the best for y'all, okay?
But I was gonna say, as much as the algorithm will be the downfall of modern civilization, that you gotta love some of the things that it sends you.
It sends you like 90% of the time just like pure brain rot. but it makes you chuckle. It's just like
well, that's why I try to concentrate 100% on getting the algorithm to just send me videos of cats slapping things.
That's better. Thank you.
What did I do?
No, it's the reverse. He likes you. He hates. Oh
yeah. Look, Jay has some haters, man. Like sometimes we'll do REUU RABBLE and Jay won't be here, and there's always a guy or two that's like, "Oh, I'm so glad that Jay wasn't there. It was so amazing."
Oh, fuck them.
I think Cole has some haters.
Yes.
Cole, dude, I think Cole's one of the funniest human beings I've ever met. That dude just makes me laugh, man. His like first stand-up bit was one of the funniest bits I've ever seen.
Yeah, he has a humor that if once you get used to it, he's hilarious. Right? A lot of people just don't get that humor. But yeah, I miss the stand-up.
No, dude, he showed it to us, and like I was crying laughing. I'm like, bro, if that's like your first offering, you need to actually pursue this. And it's what I thought from the beginning. I thought he would be really good at stand-up. And then his commentary on like what stand-up is like, which is basically why I don't do it anymore, where if you make the audience laugh, you come off stage, and then there's like 9 guys that went up there that weren't funny that start offering you their opinion, and you're like looking at them and you're going, yeah, but I made people laugh, and like they're giving you their input, and you're just it's bizarre.
So I actually have a video of Cole's stand-up bit, but I can't release that unless he consents to. Fabio, were you there when he did that?
No, I missed that.
You missed it. It was epic. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about it. So
yeah,
the next
he won the night. He won the girl. He won the night.
Yeah, I heard he made the crowd actually like go nuts. But
dude, it is legitly a hilarious bit, and if you worked on it, it would just be 5 minutes of absolute murder.
Damn. Wait, why is Greystone saying like they were there?
Where's he at?
He said, I'd like to see Cold stand up. It happens. Oh no, never mind. I thought you said it happened. I'm hallucinating. Cole, but P. Morton said Cole kind of bombed. Had a good bones.
We got a stalker, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, how is this even possible? Like literally, how is this possible? I'm literally the anti-Jeremy.
Yeah, I have no idea how that could be possible, dude. I don't understand how you could go from a actual, as he would call it, a certified CPA accountant to Jeremy.
Some people just, I don't know. They have their preferences, deviant though they may be. Fabio, why is your neck so short?
It's a genetic born with it. Unfortunate.
All right, so on a more serious topic. So if Trump wins and we get a bunch of tariffs and we get the corporate tax rate dropped to 15%, what's going to happen? Is the economy going to collapse?
Oh, okay. In the realm of the theoretical of passing things, yeah. There's different opinions on each side, but like I think that in general, some of the like tax cut policies, there's a lot of doomerism on the other side. There's doomerism, for example, in Florida on one of our amendments to limit the homestead, right? So homestead exemptions, which you guys have as well, right? In Virginia, correct?
No,
oh yeah, I completely forgot. Janai, you're a Floridian guy, so you're gonna vote on.
Yeah, dude. I don't have to pay property taxes.
You don't have to pay any property tax?
No.
Oh, he's got the special ace up his sleeve. I definitely pay property taxes, and I know they just freaking raised it because my mortgage payment went up.
Oh my
yeah, dude. I'm all hooked up with the Homestead Act down here.
Well, one of the amendments is to actually add some sort of inflation, not multiplier, but inflation factor that it's going to limit how much they can increase it, because they're going to say basically like the thought is how much did your house really go up in value according to the CPI?
Yeah,
they're going to tax you on that increase, and then even then they're limited already on your homestead. So the doomerism, around here has been like, oh, then local governments won't have money.
Oh man,
Yeah,
how unfortunate.
yeah, and I'm also thinking sometimes I'm just like, well, I'm not gonna be complaining too much, but I did notice, the local government built a very wasteful looking building recently. I was like, they got to have some extra money lying around. They just don't want to cut any budgets.
Well,
that are probably pretty wasteful. But
well, dude,
only
the problem is, I mean, most of us that are reasonable agree that you have to pay some level of taxes, right? You need cops, firefighters, roads. I mean, I'm not going to get into the libertarian argument that you could pay for all that, through the free market. The reality is, this is the system we have. Most people aren't going to go away from it, but it becomes this problem where the government wants more and more money to do, like you said, these weird things. Like, you have some person on a local council who doesn't understand even basic economics. And they're like, well, we should raise the taxes so we can build low income housing. And it becomes this thing where they just want more and more and more.
Yeah.
And plus it creates government jobs, and their interests are obviously aligned with keeping the government expanding massively. And I've seen it firsthand working for the government myself.
Yeah.
It's constant expansion of high paid jobs where they don't freaking do anything.
Bro, I talk about this all the time, right? You walk through where I work, and there's all these people with MBAs that can't even write an email. Like, you read what they write in their email, and you want to send them an email back going, hey man, could you use like proper grammar and use words correctly when you send me an email? So you have all these MBAs that somehow come from the outside sector. They don't understand the job. And then they sit in an office and they send approximately 3 emails a day, and they make $100,000 a year. And when people go, dude, you're exaggerating for, comedic effect. I'm like, no, bro, I'll take you through there. You walk by these offices. There's some dude sitting there typing on a computer, right? And you're like, I don't know what, if anything, this guy does all day. $100,000 a year.
They do nothing. Because I know when I had remote work, I was working for NASA, and they would give me some work, but for like 2-3 weeks, I literally had nothing to do. Like zero. I was bored out of my freaking mind because you had to wait for like information to be given to you before you could do anything. And it was like, okay, they're paying some of these dudes $110,000 a year, and then they work for maybe a couple days a month, and then they do nothing. They just sit around, and I don't know what they freaking do.
Well, look, I mean, I'm telling you right now, like you were saying, if a lot of these guys, like, they were just gone, it wouldn't affect the organization in the slightest. Like, the work would still get done and it would still function. So it's like, it's the problem of all this fat in the system. And it's like, it's also credentialism. Oh, I have an MBA, so I should be able to run this section. Yeah, but you don't even understand the job.
I mean, that's why I got a master's degree. It was totally worthless, but they were like, oh, if you have a master's degree, then you're just better. You got to have one. Like,
you don't think your master's in accounting matters? Serious question.
Serious? No, I don't. I was already licensed. I don't need a master's. I mean, I got it because why not? But the only reason I did do it was literally because I was like, oh, I'm going to stay in the government. Maybe I'll move up and I need a master's. And no, it's totally, once you have your licenses, nothing else matters.
Yeah, it's bizarre, man, when you walk through there. And I'm telling you right now, some of these guys, they're intelligent guys that have their MBAs, but a lot of them are dumb as a box of bricks.
Well, dude, the MBA is, if it's not a top tier school, which you go to network, it's garbage BS. And pretty much everybody cheats.
Bro,
Everybody uses ChatGPT. It's all a scam.
Dude, I thought about doing an online master's MBA just to mock people, just so I had that credential. When they're like, oh, congratulations. I just go, I really only got this degree just to mock you guys that get all these advanced degrees and you can't do anything.
But you could put MBA after your name and your signature.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's stupid.
Somebody at NASA had a Bachelor of Science in their signature. They had like BS after their name. Like, come on, man. Oh, this is an interesting observation. What do you think about this?
He's on to something.
He's on to something. Maybe we shouldn't be using that.
Yeah.
What would be the alternative?
Superior degree.
Superior. Oh, that's got some implications.
No, no, you can't do that, man.
So anyway, bringing it back, is Trump going to destroy the economy with tariffs? What do you think, Fabio?
No. Yeah,
I concur.
Yeah, no. I don't think in either case it really like matters. I think that like when I hear some people have, some delusions about one candidate utterly destroying, like in the case it's mostly I hear from Trump, is going to destroy the economy, just because I think he's like a louder voice, and the people who are super anti-Trump are very loud and proud. Well, also I think even Kamala people, anti-Kamala people are loud and proud too. But in the case of like the, I guess, media, it tends to be more anti-Trump than not. They, I think, exaggerate and have, like there's some people on even YouTube who they have somewhat respectable opinions or coverage on certain topics, and then like suddenly they bring up like Trump, and then they just have like a delusional take, and I'm just like, wow. Because have you heard of Gelman's amnesia? All right, so it's like when you're somewhat familiar on a topic, right, and you're listening to usually listen to someone on topics you're not very familiar with, right? And you're like, okay, cool. I'm listening to them doing this, and they're telling me and they're explaining things to me. And then they start talking about a topic that you're, really familiar with, right? Or somewhat familiar with. And the take is just horrendous. So it's like in your case, Chris, it'd be something accounting related. So you're listening to a journalist talk about, they're explaining to you, I don't know, the intricacies of biomedical science. And you're trusting on their research to, tell you the intricacies of biomedical science. And then they have an episode where they talk about accounting, and it's just like absolute dog shit. And then you're like, wow, that was terrible. That was very poorly researched. So then Gelman's amnesia is the description of like, you will have amnesia. You will forget that they covered the topic you're familiar with extremely poorly, and then you'll continue to listen to them talking about, I don't know, biomedical sciences. That's what a lot of people do. But then the acceptance or observation that that's happening is then the rejection of it. And then so you're like, why am I listening to this journalist explain to me anything? They're not an expert in anything.
That's definitely happened with me. Like if I hear one really bad take for something that I know, I'm like, I can't trust anything this person says.
No, dude, I do the same thing. Like I've stopped watching certain like YouTubers when I just hear them, regurgitating something, and I'm like, that's not how that works at all. I'm like, now I question everything that you've ever said. And I'm pretty forgiving about it too. If it's like a subject where you're like, listen, man, I'm not really that knowledgeable. Let me just tell you my take it with a grain of salt. That's forgivable. You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, I agree with you on that.
I mean, after experiencing YouTube finance, like I really don't trust anything anymore, because usually it's the biggest frauds that make their way to the top.
Bro, I don't even really watch much YouTube finance.
Yeah,
I really don't. Like, I check out your guys' videos, and then other than that, I can't listen to Jeremy. I can't listen to Meat Spicer.
I don't even get to post because I'm so busy. So I do one live stream a week maybe, and that's all I get.
Yeah, that's all I even feel like doing. I like doing what I do on Sunday night, where I just sit there and I talk about whatever I want to talk about.
I mean, I lose half my weekends that I'm working and doing other stuff. So it's really hard to post a lot on YouTube. I have to fit it in when I'm sitting in my freaking car over my lunch break.
Well, this is the thing. Like, how many times am I going to like make a video on finance and go, you are best off putting your money into low cost index funds in a tax advantaged account? Like,
I covered a study that came out recently that was pretty interesting, and 2 or 3 live streams ago on index funds, by the way. It's interesting. So the professor who did it, he is, pro for, index funds. He's pro index funds. And then when he did the study, basically his conclusion was, or he said the couple conclusions someone could make from his findings is that the market skewness has gotten a lot wider, and so selection has now gotten harder. But the other conclusion someone can make is that if you're right, keyword if, then the reward is a lot higher than it was before.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's always been the case. If you pick the right one, you're gonna, because most stocks don't do that great.
That it's gotten like that has gotten bigger as time has gone. So like back in the day, the skewness was smaller, and then in some countries the skewness is still pretty wide, and the skewness is measuring the performance and makeup of the indexes of H index. So like internationally, the skewness is still it's even wider. In the United States, it's wide, but it's like what he's observed is like across, since going back from the data that's available, the skewness has widened a lot. And so it just means that if you're just like some guy and you're just like trying to pick stocks, the percentages of success, likelihood and randomness, or not randomness, like you're actually like, I'm doing all this. The probabilities that you outperform are now lower. But
yeah, I can believe that.
If you pick that stock, then that the now projected outperformance is probably going to be greater. So
I had a friend that like he's not even big into stocks, but he literally picked the best ones. Like he literally bought QQQ back in like 2011. He held it for like 10 years.
Clown TQQQ,
dude.
Clown.
Oh yeah, he's a clown. Obviously,
could have done better.
So he crushed the market, and then he downloaded Robinhood to screw around, and he bought Nvidia, and he held it like through the bear market of 2022, and I think he sold it at like 500 pre-split or whatever. But he just crushed it in every single scenario. It's like, what are you doing? Like, how did you arrive at this conclusion,
bro? Are
you a genius?
I had friends at work, right? They know absolutely nothing about investing. And during the clown market, this girl made like $120,000 in the year. And like when I asked her, because she was like, well, I'm just buying these stocks, right? And I'm just sitting there going, yeah, straight gambling, but it worked out for her. And I was like, good for her.
I had a friend that made 6 figs on AMC options.
Dude.
I'm like, damn, dude. He actually showed me the screenshot. So his options went up to like $130,000. He started with like a couple grand. Yeah. And he built that up to 130 grand. And then it dropped and he like sold off the options right when it was around. He had about $100,000 of profit.
Dude, good for him, man. And like, I mean, that's why I tell people, I go, listen, if you got a little bit of money and you want to just straight gamble on the market, do it. Who cares? You're throwing, if you got a $100,000 or $200,000 portfolio and you're throwing a couple $1,000s at it here and there, you might win big. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, as long as you've maxed your tax advantage accounts and you just you're flush with cash, which I was during the clown-demic. I mean, everybody had freaking cash back then. Yeah. Then you can kind of screw around more. But like if your budget's super tight,
yeah,
which unfortunately mine is right now. maybe be a little bit more conservative.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean, the 5% rule, that Jack Bogle talks about. 5% if you want play money. It's like where people get in trouble is not using 5% of their money for play. It's when you do stupid shit where you're like, oh, my cousin's brother's former roommate's gas station attendant told me about this stock. Let me put 50% of my portfolio in it.
I was thinking about making a Tattooed Chef branded merch, but I'm worried about getting sued by the company.
You'll probably get sued, dude.
Yeah, that was my hesitation. I'm like, I could make like Tattooed Trucker and all these like funny freaking.
No, dude, you could make Tattooed Trucker.
Yeah, you can do that.
But then I'd have to what about the logo? That's the thing.
You can make it similar, but it has to be different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to hire like a
Graphic.
probably chill out a little bit and have somebody shell out some money and have somebody make a design that's similar. Because I think it'd be hilarious to see people in public wearing Tattooed Trucker shirts.
Yeah, you could make that like the image, the figure of the tattooed chef. It's just a figure of you instead, like an outline of you specifically.
Yeah.
Or dude, you make it Tattooed Trucker, and then you have like a dumpster, and you put Jeremy peeking out from behind the dumpster.
Dude, you know what? I used to have these Meet Kevin mugs where it was like, Meat Smoker, and he had like the clown glasses on, and those actually sold. But I was worried back then that Meet Kevin was going to sue me, but I have a feeling now he's not going to sue me. So maybe I'll reintroduce the Meat Smoker mugs again.
Where were you selling them from? Like, what did you do?
Crap. It's a website called, I think it's Teespring, and it like interfaces with your YouTube.
Okay.
And you can literally just upload an image, slap it on a mug, and then they do all the rest. You just sell it, and they make it and mail it to the person.
Dude, yeah. I could think of a lot of things to put on mugs that would be like hilarious.
Because it'd be funny. Like, I want to wear the merch too. Doing videos and stuff. I think it'd be hilarious to have like a Tattooed Trucker shirt and a Jeremy hat or a Meet Kevin hat or something like that.
And don't
add to the comedy factor.
Yeah, don't use a real name, but like put Meat Smoker, Meat Spicer,
Meat Thruster, if they allow me to.
I mean, it stands to reason that regardless of tax policy, the United States is only able to collect a certain percentage of its GDP in taxes, regardless of tax policy across time. We're like range bound between 15 and 20%. And I believe it looks like one exception was World War II, where we were really low. We were really below that. I think we were at 9%.
Yeah, I was gonna say the problem is government spending.
Yeah, you can't tax your way out of it. That's the stark reality. Some people don't know yet.
It's like, when AOC is like, I want tax rates of 90%, and I'm like, you're not aware of the Laffer curve, are you?
Yeah, well, that will be for GDP, because then you get to like, okay, what's the greatest predictor of tax receipts? If it's not tax rates or tax policy, et cetera, tax aggressivity, it's GDP growth. And so, the Laffer curve comes in there.
Well, dude, I mean, it becomes this thing where is the effort worth it? Right? And if you go, all right, just say the tax rate is 15% just across the board.
Mm-hmm.
It almost becomes this thing where it's not even worth it to hire the accountants and the lawyers to figure out a way around it. Because it just doesn't pay. It's like, all right, well, this is pay that 15% and then just go to the beach. But, if it's like, oh, your top marginal tax rate is 60%, then rich people are like, why should I create anything? I'll just buy tax-free muni bonds and again, go, Jeff Bezos it up and drive my giant yacht around the world.
Well, I mean, and it's a great big world out there. There's a lot of ways to do certain things. And A lot of places want to become rich, and they would love to have more capital.
Yeah, the
we
Panama Papers.
Yeah, but no, there's a lot of countries out there, Western countries, by the way, that are some of our European allies that they don't have. They have actually more lax taxation policies on capital gains than us.
I don't know if this was just a rumor or whatever, because I didn't really look into it. But when Trump lowered the taxes, didn't Apple bring back a bunch of cash that they had parked over in Ireland?
There was also a window that the Trump administration offered to companies with cash hoards overseas. They said if you brought it back, we wouldn't do a punishment. So then it'd be back here. But so it was that plus, hey, we're not going to, do anything to that money. Don't worry. So,
yeah, and then they bring back the money and then they invest and you have jobs.
They buy back shares.
Which people have this, on the topic of buybacks, people have this like weird idea that like buybacks are just like money is fungible. Money is like water, right? It just flows. And so it's not something that just like buybacks don't necessarily mean that they're just, people act like it's just burning money, like lighting money on fire. No, like the money flew to someone else. So there's like transactions that are occurring and then it's just unknown. It's untraceable, like where it goes. But it's kind of just like, it goes back to the thing about taxation and policy. Like the explanation that someone can give for that is that money is like water. It flows and you can just basically put dams. And so taxes can be a great policy to incentivize behavior, in fact. That's what all economists tend to agree on for sure. And the the theory of I'm going to raise taxes this much and it's going to increase the collection rate for GDP, there's nothing that really supports that necessarily. So but the explanation for that, there's a couple things that are like in our gaps of knowledge. It could be culture, right? Because certain cultures are more prone to tax evasion. Then the United States tends to have a fairly good culture of non-tax evasion. But, you go to Italy. Italy has a high propensity of tax evasion. Brazil, same thing. And in Italy, there's a funny story of, they will put like roadblocks, right? And then if you're driving a nice car, they'll stop you and they'll say, "Did you pay your taxes?" Like legit, no. Here, that's unheard. Well, first of all, the government has limitations on the ability to even do that, but because of your rights and all that. But the general culture here is not one of non-tax evasion. In fact, I think the IRS has done a great job at convincing people that they can see everything at all times. And so like in general, the American population is very, okay, I got to pay my taxes. Like they do have that mentality, even if like, of course there's certain portions of the population that no, but that's one of the explanations.
Yeah. To piggyback on what you were saying is like when I was going to college, right, and I had the GI Bill, that was basically my income plus my VA disability, but I filed my taxes. Even though federally, I was making zero money, I was like, I'm not getting on the bad side of the IRS. Like, I mean, those are that government organization scares me more than anything.
Well, because like every tax form that's generated, a copy is sent to the IRS, so they know. Right? I mean, they can almost like auto-generate a letter and send it to you because they know you got a W-2 or they know you got a 1099. They look in your tax form on your whatever you filed and it's not there. Well, obviously you didn't report the income. What's going on here?
Yeah. P. Morton's comment on trickles everywhere but down. I think he's referring to the buyback and money flowing. Money flows where value is produced.
Yeah.
Emotions aside, I know that sounds heartless, et cetera, because I'm not implying at all that those people are not producing any value, but that's at the end of the day, that's all that money is, just a representation of resources, of energy. And well, we can get a little bit more complex. It's just a tool. to quote the movie, it's all made up. But no, genuinely, it's just something that flows where value lies, where value is produced. The government has a separated incentive structure that's not driven by efficiency measures. So you can think of profit as being the measure of efficiency of any system. We know in finance, we're all looking at stocks, and then you can think of it that when we're looking at a company is a system. And then when we're judging profitability, we're effectively judging the efficiency of the system that we're looking at, because that's all a company is. It's a system, an organization. So yeah, that's kind of one way to kind of think about flows. But I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but yeah, that's where some people start to say then they have to put the hand on the scale and get money to flow somewhere where it wouldn't otherwise flow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's a debate to be had about that. But yeah.
Yeah, to piggyback on what you were saying about buybacks too, like people have this blanket idea that all buybacks are good. And I'm like, not all buybacks are good, dude. Like if the stock is blatantly overvalued, their money would be best used somewhere else.
I'd say pay it. I mean, there's some situations where a dividend might be superior.
No, I agree.
I'll admit that.
Dividends aren't always bad. They aren't bad or good. It just depends on how you're using your money. If you don't have a place to put that cash, right? It's like, okay, dude, we're almost out of ideas. You want people to hold your stock. It's probably best to pay them a dividend.
And a great example is Palantir. They have an ungodly amount of cash on the balance sheet. It's like, what are you doing with it? They might as well just pay a freaking dividend, a special dividend, and then you can employ that money somewhere else instead of it just sit. I mean, yeah, it's probably mostly in treasuries now, but our rate's going to stay high forever. And then even if they are where they are, you're not making that much money.
Isn't that a funny implication though? When any company does that, it's like, okay, so you have nowhere else to put, you have no projects to deploy that capital into. So you want to generate 5%.
Yeah, the Palantir is a perfect example. They have an insane amount of cash on their balance sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're doing it because it makes them look profitable or more profitable. But
all Palantir is a data harvesting company, anyways.
Yeah, that's why if you look at some companies that have produced incredible returns across time, it tends to be ones that have very little necessity for new capital investment, and they just are cash producers, and so they can do whatever it is what they want with that. They can, and the business doesn't need new capital investment to grow. That's the other part. So there's few companies out there, but wow, some of those have produced, like Vulcan Materials is I think one of the best performing stocks in the history of the stock market, going back to when it first IPO'd. I think it has what was it? It was a pretty high CAGR, almost like 20%, just one stock.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's just like materials company, right? They're very hard to compete with because they own like the quarries. And so the quarries are, the further you are from a quarry, the more expensive it is to get that material. So they can actually increase the price if they're close by to the hubs where all the construction is happening, all the development's happening. So even if they have a higher price for the unit of quarry, just because they're closer, the transportation costs make it more expensive to go to the cheaper quarry. So then they can have a higher profit margin because they can basically match the price for the other one, but the transportation cost is a smaller percentage of the.
Well, yeah, I mean, like as far as like my thinking behind things, it's pretty much like that. It's like if I'm just gonna buy a business, I want to buy something that like you need, not something that's an option. Like you know what I mean? Like Gillette, for example. I'm just throwing something out, but you have to buy deodorant or whatever else.
Yeah. Are you saying the actual product or the brand?
No, I'm just saying it for a product. And I threw that out as an example. You got to buy deodorant blah, blah, blah. You know, like for what you're saying, Vulcan materials. You need that material for construction.
Mhm.
Like that's, if I'm going to buy an individual stock, that's what I would rather own. You know, when somebody comes out and they're like, I'll just throw, I know it's a stupid example, but honest. I'm like, okay, this is a company that's optional, right? Jessica Alba is hot, but nobody wants to pay more money for diapers because Jessica Alba owns the company. If I'm going to buy,
she sever ties with Honest though?
I don't know, man. I was just using that as a silly example.
That's why I'm all in oil stocks.
Well, again, I mean, with oil, you need oil. I mean, it's the only that makes the modern world go.
You might have a pop on Monday, but
Oil,
because of the attacks. So it's just, you know,
yeah.
speculation. I don't know if the pop would sustain, but it could happen. Just
Well, I mean, again, you know, if like Israel and Iran were to go to actual war, what's going to happen in that area of the world?
There's going to be a war.
No, I know, but I'm
No,
just
I'm just
saying,
kidding.
what's gonna happen? There's gonna be a war.
yeah, there's going to be a war.
Oil will be expensive.
Yeah,
Missiles will be fired.
missiles will be
People
fired.
die.
People will die.
You gotta do that with a little bit more dramatic effect. But yeah, no, and so okay, I get what you're saying though. The other part, you know, I don't know if you consider this the same thing, but this is like always repeated, but the cigarette stocks, they've done very well.
Yeah.
Exception, but they exemplify that too. They're businesses that don't need really any net new capital investment, and they just spit out tons of cash, and they're just kind of like a cash cow, so to speak. They've been like that for a long time. People think that's like more modern. It's like no, they've been like that since the 60s and 70s. Well, more 70s, but yeah.
Well, dude, after all that, all the stuff came out about, you know, basically what happened to a lot of the food companies too. Cigarette companies bought the food companies in the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you've been paying attention to that.
Kraft Heinz, yeah.
Yeah, and then what happened there is they made a lot of the processed food more addictive. I don't know, you know, if that's a real thing, but it's like, you know, they cooked up this slop that a lot of people eat, you know, where you go, if I go into like a store, I get fruits and vegetables and I look at the, you know, the price of what I'm buying. It's expensive compared to the cheap shit that other people buy.
Yeah.
You know, funny enough, it is still possible to eat like decently healthy and not spend a lot of money. You just got to be selective. Like I completely cut out ground beef and steak out of my diet because that's out of control. But chicken is still, at least from my observations, decently affordable. A lot of fruit is pretty cheap. You know, you can get rice, brown rice, a whole bag, freaking cheap. There's still ways to do it without eating junk. Sometimes the junk, like chips are actually outrageous now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're like $5 a bag. I'm like, Jesus.
Bro,
You know?
you can do pretty well on the steak if you go to a butcher or a meat market.
A meat market.
Mm-hmm.
There's I don't know if you guys have it by you. Maybe you do, Jay. Wild Fork.
Not sure.
You should check them out. They're a DTC, direct to consumer operation by one of the largest meat producers in the world, Brazilian company, and it's pretty good prices. Like you'll get Costco prices, and you can get any kind of meat you could think of. You can get elk. You can get camel, whatever you want, really. Yeah. They have pretty
Bro,
good
dude, I
prices
heard
on the
camel's
Wagyu.
actually pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Saudis love it.
Yeah, you can get really whatever you want, and if they don't have it in the store, you just like say I want this, and then they'll either they deliver or they'll just deliver it to the store, and then you get it. I go there for all the meat.
Do you get elk?
What I did that one time, to be fair. Yeah.
How'd you like it?
Oh, it's good. It's very gamey, extremely gamey. Well, but it's good. I'd probably do it again. So
I let my parents buy steak. Whenever I go up there, they have like a Sunday thing where they always have ribeye steak. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just go up to my parents and they'll buy the steak for me. And that's how I get my steak for the year.
Dude, like at the butcher shop I go to, it's like $30 for 7 thin cut ribeyes.
Ribeye, I love ribeye.
Yeah,
Ribeye's my favorite.
That's what I eat at work every day. And then I get like 10 chicken quarters. So I just cook them up and then eat them for dinner.
You're making me crave a steak, Jay. I may go by myself today and sit in a Texas Roadhouse and have a steak.
Bro, I don't know. I honestly don't know how people can live without steak.
Well, because like I only get it when I go up to my parents, so it's like it's just so good. But I wonder if I ate it every day, it probably wouldn't be as
No, dude, it's never not delicious.
It never goes away.
It never gets old. Yeah. I mean, this week I made a bunch of steaks on Sunday, and I had like this. I bought this very good baguette bread from a certain store, and I just made steak sandwiches. Oh my god, for like 3. Oh, dude, so good. The ribeye steak, and I had ribeye in New York, and so, but both were phenomenal.
Yeah, dude, ribeye. I think ribeye is the best cut. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I think like one of the cheapest cuts that's also still pretty good is picanha. That's pretty good.
Okay.
That one's also.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, you're way more cultured than I am, Fabio.
He's eating Wagyu or whatever it is.
Yeah. Like
Wagyu.
Dude, he's like, Fabio's like, well, dude, the best cut is obviously from Kobe beef in Japan, where they massage the cow and it lives a stress-free lifestyle. I'm like, yo, bro, I live poor. I don't have money for that.
No, you laugh. There is in Japan, there's this farm where there's like the strawberries.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
No.
Oh my gosh. I think one of them was like $5,000.
Jesus, what do
They have every price range. No, they have every price range, but like one of the batches is extremely expensive. I don't remember if it's 5,000, but I remember it's pretty crazy. It might have been 500. Either way, 500 for a single strawberry is insane. And what happens is like they breed these strawberries to be just like so intensely flavorful of strawberry.
Dude, it sounds like too much strawberry for me.
Yeah, there's like this, I don't know, tendency or culture over there that they seem to want to do like the most of something. So it's like, I'm doing strawberry, I'm a strawberry farmer, I'm gonna make the most strawberry tasting strawberry, and I'm gonna
part of their culture is like the discipline.
Yeah.
So it's like be the best at everything that you do. I mean, you could look at it just like from the tea ceremony alone, where it's like you have to lay the ladle perfectly. I mean, there's a lot to admire there about that discipline that they have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Now, quick question for you gentlemen. What's the newest stock on y'all's radar? There was a question. It was like, give me a stock that's going to 1,000x. So
well, I'm gonna go get coffee while you guys discuss that.
Dude, I need coffee. I have no coffee. I'm running on no coffee right now.
Dude, I drank 2 big cups of coffee, so I'm like a little bit jacked up right now. Dude. In all honesty, I haven't really been looking at anything, dude.
You kind of just adding to what you have?
Yeah, I mean, all I'm doing is just buying index funds right now.
You don't have a single individual now?
No, I still have a couple that are sitting there. I bought an experiment. I just threw $1,000 at Occidental. I just want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
What index funds do you have now? Do you still have only VT, or do you have?
No, so Chris was the one who convinced me to go VT. So originally I had VTI.
Mhm.
So what I do is I sell off VTI in my brokerage account, and then I buy VT in my Roth IRA. But mostly I'm just chucking money at my TSP, which that's set up. What am I at? I'm at like 60% S&P 500, then 25% S fund, which is small and mid cap market, and then 15% international.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you can't. There's no like VT equivalent.
No VT equivalent. Well, there is if you buy like the 2065 fund, but I just don't feel like selling stuff off and then just reallocating. But no, dude, I really honestly haven't been looking because I'm like, dude, this market is so overvalued. I'm like, you know what? Whenever a correction comes, that's when I'll start looking.
Mm-hmm.
You? What are you looking at?
Right now, I'm looking at a bunch of things, but in the past couple months or so, I've been looking into, without getting into specific names, or unless we want to,
No.
private equity firms. So like earlier this year, there was, I believe, like a opening an opportunity for kind of capturing this idea that there was going to be a liquidity boom in the secondaries market. So there were those opportunities that also have basically played out. So they've done very well. But more recently, I'd probably say I have an energy play that I don't have I've talked about it publicly because I sometimes will talk about one of the stocks I'm covering in the club.
Mm-hmm.
So this one I've covered publicly now, and it's a company called Talon Energy.
What is it? Say that again.
Talon Energy. It's ticker symbol TLN.
Okay.
So it's, well, I don't know how I would calculate as a percentage portfolio because I don't have any common stock in it. I only have options on it.
Okay.
So if you do just dollar figure or share exposure of the contracts, but dollar figure, it's not very large. It's like single digit percentages, like low single digit percentages. But if it does what I think it's going to do, I should do more than what it would be if it was single digit percentage. So it'd be like having the exposure of high to mid low double digit percentage. But yeah, they're utility company that came out of a bankruptcy. So they're the assets that were spun off out of bankruptcy from up in Pennsylvania. And what's interesting is the value of one asset in particular is potentially worth more than the entire company. So there was a lot of opportunity because when they spun off, they started trading on the OTC, and there was a lot of inability for a lot of fund managers and funds themselves to actually participate. So they couldn't buy it. And then when you had the uplisting event, you saw basically that's kind of the story. If you bring up the chart, you have the uplisting event, and then from there you had a lot of more interest and participation from various funds that buy utilities. And even now they're still trading at a discount to their two peers. Their direct peers are VST and Constellation Energy. So those are the kind of like the alternatives that you could look at to do like a comparative analysis too. But they're quite expensive. VST has pursued a strategy where they're not going to be acquiring any new assets, and they're just returning capital to shareholders via buyback. And I think that's actually appropriate. Going out and doing M&A right now would be kind of costly and questionable IRRs there. But Talon is doing the same thing, and I think Talon's going to get acquired is my theory here. So I in like a little over a year from now, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not with us anymore, just because they have very low leverage. And when you're an acquiring company, that's part of the consideration. There was a play that, if you recall back when I made videos more often, I made a video long time ago on a company called AJRD, Aerojet Rocketdyne. And it was
I
a
think
play
I
I bought.
remember you talking about it, but I don't really remember the substance of it.
Yeah. The like the play there was they could acquire someone could acquire them and take the real estate assets that they had in California and then monetize that and get a bunch of the value back. So just like pure M&A play, that's why LMT Lockheed Martin, the CEO, had recently come from American Towers, which is a REIT. So he very much understood that. And so when you kind of saw why they were interested in it, that was one of the hints. But anyways, so with Talon, they have some assets that they currently have quite low leverage. And someone like a Constellation, for example, if they were to acquire it, they could actually lever up those assets and make the acquisition for them less expensive. Or a PE firm, classic, acquire, lever it up, and then there you go, leverage buyout. So there's a lot of players out there that could acquire it. And if you're listening to private equity firms, they're expressing a lot of interest in this space. With the auction happening in the summer of next year, I think Morgan Stanley put out a report that they think that the auction rates can go. They're right now in the high 200s in the latest one. They're projected to top out at like 600. Which, by the way, is a huge increase, but top out because the economic incentive for you to bring up a new power plant online is around like low 300. So if they're right now high 200, low 300 is where you got to go. They might peak out at 600 before then we start producing a lot more, a lot more players are going to come online at that point. Cause now you're like, oh, I got to produce more power plants. It makes a lot of sense. And then cause it's a commodity at the end of the day. And then it would probably come down to more equalized level. So
yeah, dude, on individual stocks, man, I don't really have that much time to look at them. I mean, I work and it's like I come home on the weekends. The last thing I want to do is sit there and just read through financial statements all weekend. You know what I mean? It's a convenience thing for me. Like
that's why you pay for a sponsored video, Jay. So somebody else can read the financial statements for you.
Yeah. But no, that's why I'm just like, all right, first off, I got to put $22,500 in the TSP. Mm-hmm. Then I got to put $6,000 in a Roth. It was like, okay, now if it's not playing, I'll actually look. But it's like,
Jay, you're almost old enough to be at a catch-up contribution status.
Yep. What is it?
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like I can't wait until I'm like 50 and I can chuck in.
Dude, I have a
extra 6,500.
Yeah. What is it? What's the year? 50?
Yeah, 50. So at 50, you can put in an additional 6,500, I think, to the 401k and an extra 1,000 into the IRA. And then I think there's even a new provision that came out where if you're like in your 60s somewhere, you could put even more. It's like an extra catch up.
Jesus Christ, dude. I'm not going to be able to hit that every year.
Dude, you could turbocharge, man. Like if you're making a bunch of money at the end and you're like, oh crap, I didn't save, you can turbocharge your retirement.
Yeah, dude. That's it.
Yeah. I just listened to I hired an expert to give me put options, and that's basically what I do for fun. with 95% of my portfolio.
No, that's smart. Did you hire Meet the Kilmers?
Khmer,
yeah.
Oh, dude, I stopped watching him. He's like, didn't he make a bunch of money on Misty recently? Did that happen? I think MicroStrategy's been going through like an insane rip.
And he went all in Misty.
Yes. When Misty collapses, that's when I'll start talking about Khmer again. Because right now he's in euphoria mode.
Dude, a lot of that stuff is just so stupid. I'm sitting at work and I'm like, do I want to hear this right now? And I go, no, I don't. I'm like, I could listen to this or the JRE interview of Trump.
Oh, that was yesterday, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I just got through the whole thing.
I think it's got like 10 million views so far.
Oh, dude, I think it's going to be one of his biggest podcasts.
Yeah, the few minutes that I watched, Trump sounded more like conversational than he normally does. If that
It's a
makes sense.
podcast. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it's like I've never really seen him be conversational. It's
Well,
always
he
been
was-
like he's giving a speech, or it was kind of different to see him actually talk like just with his bro, basically.
Well, he was on Andrew Schultz's podcast and Theo Vaughn, and he comes across as human. He has a sense of humor.
Oh, he's hilarious.
All candidates should be forced to talk for 3 hours straight. If I'm being honest.
No, dude, what like my hypothesis on it is like after this election, a lot of these politicians are going to have no choice but to go on podcasts. The reason being is no matter how it turns out, legacy media is dead.
Mm.
Nobody under 60 watches CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. In fact, ironically enough, I think Fox News has the youngest audience. And I think it's somewhere in the 60s.
Yeah.
And
so when we're old, all the we're gonna be turning on Destiny instead. That's what our kids.
oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to Destiny, the blue-haired, leftist.
That guy, like the fact that he's famous and people like him, there's a lot of crazy people in the United States of America.
Well,
that is the worst example of a man that could ever exist.
Wasn't he the guy?
David Pakman?
Well, I gotta figure out this is the guy we're talking about. We're talking about the guy who was like in an open marriage, and then his wife just like leaves him.
Yes.
And then he talked a lot of crap before about like how his situationship or whatever is like great and healthy, and people are weird for thinking otherwise.
Yeah, that's him. Like my gut instinct says that's wrong.
Yeah.
But people like they listen to this guy like he's legit. And then look what freaking happened.
Dude, I think a lot of the far left YouTubers, I think they're sponsored by corporations. To be honest with you, I think that's how a lot of them got big. Yeah, I mean, some of them I think got there organically, but like if you listen to like a dude like David Pakman, I just go, who listens to this guy? First off, his eyes are way too close together. And I'm not going to trust that on that alone. But then all he does is engage in sophistry.
Who's
Like,
David Pakman?
Yeah, you like a lot
Like
of
a
these
leftist
guys on the
YouTuber.
left, you can't have a real conversation with them. You can't go, well, I think this because of this, I'm not really set on this, because what they're trying to do is get gotchas and win. It's not a real exchange of ideas. So then I go, like, who honestly watches these guys? And there's guys on the right that do it too. I never really understood Andrew Tate. I go, all right, he says some funny stuff from time to time. But if you think this guy is really here to give you life advice, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, you can just look at what he does and know he's a scammer. He's all into crypto. He has
Yeah.
this course where he teaches you like low skill jobs that aren't really going to make you any money. Like at the end of the day, even though he's funny, he's a grifter.
Yeah, I mean, dude, yeah, Andrew Tate has said some fun stuff that's made me crack up because it's so ridiculous. But I mean, I like Rogan's podcast because I think Rogan's a good interviewer. And I mean, he has his flaws. But it's like, yeah, I know that dude is making a ton of money from it, but he's not really trying to sell me anything.
Well, doesn't he sell like supplements?
Oh, he does, but I can avoid that. I can't stand dudes. Again, we'll use Andrew Tate as an example where he's like, yeah, I'm going to sell this masculinity and then, oh, buy my daddy coin. Like, all right,
Daddy.
like, daddy coin is going to the moon. You're never going to have to work a real job again. It's like that's really what a lot of these guys are selling is, I don't want to work a real job. Well, sorry, sweetheart. Most of us are going to have to.
Well, you got to grift, bro.
Yeah, I didn't follow too much of the Tate stuff, but that is something I take away from him. Is just, he's in it for him.
Well, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, I don't subscribe to his vision. He's like, to me, it's a cartoon character of a quote unquote alpha male. No. That's what it is.
I love Jonathan's comment.
What did he say?
This recent one. It is. Okay.
We're all drifting. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I don't disagree with that.
No, this is really true. If everyone's being honest, there's a lot of there's something to be said about population of employees, right? That
there's the people that work, probably like 10%. Then whatever the percentage is of people who are kind of there and just do enough to get by, and then there's the free riders.
Yes.
The dude that's always got a cup of coffee, and you're like, Steve, what exactly do you do here? He's like, oh, I got to go to my office and make some
changes the topic.
Yeah, and then he like walks off. But the only thing you ever see him do is coming from the break room with a cup of coffee in his mug.
Dude, that's like 95% of NASA. Like I literally did all the work. Me and my buddy did all the work, and everybody else, they would just like take long lunches and walk. They would just be walking around. I'm like, where are you going? It's like they just walk in a circle around the building.
And then miraculously, anytime like the work started, they go, well, I got to go over and see. They're sipping their coffee like Lumberg from Office Space. And they're like, well, I got to go over to, whatever department and have a meeting with Tom. And you're like, dude, every time there's work to do, you have some meeting. It's like, yeah, I know. He's got an MBA.
Yeah, that's
facts.
Dogman was the only one running.
It's kind of like the Pareto's distribution, right? The square root number of the population is responsible for half or more.
Yeah.
Of whatever you're measuring.
I mean, it works for everything. It works for stocks. It works for people. I mean, it's pretty ubiquitous.
Oh yeah, it's actually kind of crazy. Forests and mass, galaxies and mass.
Well, dude, one of the dudes that I'm glad to see failing in the influencer space is this guy, Wes Watson. And he's like this steroid head ex-prisoner, and you pay him $3,000 a month for coaching, and all he does is steroid rage out on you. Like he doesn't offer anything. And he's like, I'm a business consultant too. And I'm just like, bro, why would anybody hire you?
Yeah, the memes on consulting is also funny. I mean, I know they are memes, but it's also that I know where it comes from. There's a huge element of truth to it too. The whole like, what do you guys do? Have you seen that video where he's like interviewing people at McKinsey, but he's not actually interviewing anyone. He's just playing like their corporate videos, but he's like asking them questions and then they respond via their corporate videos. It's like they're all saying the same thing. We provide value and strategic alternatives to the energy sector. He's like, but what do you do?
Oh, dude, don't even get me started on the McKinsey Institute or half of these think tanks. Where it's like, what exactly do you do? Oh, I sit around thinking up bullshit all day.
Yeah. There's a lot. Oh man, there's so many funny things.
Dude, I didn't read the book, but I know it's out there. It's called Bullshit Jobs. And it's basically just a book about how like the vast majority of the jobs in modern society are just bullshit time occupiers.
Yeah, that's why people are miserable, because they're stuck in these jobs. And I think deep down they know it's bull crap. And if you're not really providing value, you kind of feel useless. And you're just there living for the weekend, and it's not good.
Well,
we're all trying to escape it though. Some of us are really.
Well, I mean, think about what we were talking about earlier, where somewhere along the lines in the 60s or 70s, it transitioned into the managerial class, where it's like everybody's got to go to college, right? And my dad talked about how when he was working, he was basically a machinist for Kodak, and he would have to sit there and explain his job to these guys who just came into the company with a college degree. And it was normally bullshit. And my dad would say, I'm just sitting there looking at him like, how are you supposed to be in charge of me if you don't actually understand my job?
It's kind of the experienced guy's role is to train the managerial class. I mean, it's like that in the military. When you first show up as an officer, you're clueless. And you kind of have like that senior seasoned guy that basically teaches you your job. And so you can finally, after a couple of years, really take the mantle.
Yeah, nothing like when you get a new butter bar who's going to light the world on fire. And we're all just sitting around going, yeah, don't work that way, homie.
I've been there. I didn't try to light the world on fire, though.
Dude, the funniest thing is when a butter bar tries to get pull rank on like a senior master sergeant or a chief. And how this is going to go is the chief is going to walk right into the colonel and be like, I don't know what this motherfucker's problem is, but I don't need him telling me anything.
Yeah, it happens. People get smacked down, but it's the nature of the beast. It's all about experience. Experience is the number one thing. Education can only provide so much.
Well, I mean, with the education system we went from something like STEM or accounting, right, into these bullshit degrees that are supposed to induct you into the managerial class, but they actually don't give you any skills. If I understand, if a guy comes walking in and he's got a degree in mechanical engineering and you're a machine shop, I understand why that guy's sitting in the office going, hey, you got to do this, this, and this. He may not have the direct knowledge of exactly what you're doing, but he has the skills in training to be in that position. But somewhere along the lines, he started equating, an accounting degree with a business administration degree.
Yeah, well, one's a skill set. The other is kind of like a
you
compilation of a bunch of different subjects.
Yeah, and you wrote a bunch of papers. Like, I got my business administration degree. I'm smarter than you.
That's why I didn't do an MBA. I'm not writing freaking papers. I'll write a book. I ain't writing freaking papers. Done.
And the real question that everyone's been wondering, will China invade Taiwan?
I don't think they will for a long time.
Well, if they don't do it for a long time, they're effectively not going to have the economy or the manpower. China's one-child policy screwed them. Like by the end of the 21st century, they'll have less than half the population they have today. So if they don't do it, if they don't invade Taiwan in the next 10 years, I don't believe that they're going to have them. Dude, we are like the world is quickly approaching a demographics crisis. The baby boomers are retiring, right? And we just don't have the manpower to fill a lot of these jobs.
Well, that's why we have AI, bro. But so like when it comes to, like China and Taiwan, I think in the long run, they're gonna have the island at some point. Because I remember when I was in Afghanistan, right? We were there, we were basically fighting a tribe of like millions of people. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, we're getting rid of a lot of them, and a lot of them are dying, and we're winning battles, and etc. But at some point, we're gonna leave, and the tribe will always be there. So all they had to do was just wait it out and find the opportune time to win the war. And that's what they did. We were there for 20 freaking years.
Yeah.
We killed a lot of them, but they won. So at the end of the day, it's like if you have a tribe, which basically it's the Chinese, they're all Chinese. At some point, I don't know when it's going to be, but they will come together at some point, whether it's through war or economics or politics.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying, China, even America America not so much, but a lot of Europe is facing a massive demographics crisis.
Yeah, I mean, I used to worry about that stuff, but at the end, I think we'll solve it. It's like, back in the day, we used to worry about overpopulation, and it all worked out. And now we have declining birth rates, but I don't think that's going to last forever. I don't think birth rates are going to stay low indefinitely.
No, I think governments will incentivize, maybe they'll play some Barry White over the internet, give you some tax advantage. Like you guys,
that was the solution all along. We just had to play Barry White, and
you got to screw for the future.
Yeah, that's why I heard Barry White on the radio. I was like, you know what, baby?
Well, dude, bro, at the rate Elon Musk is having children, he might solve it by himself. That dude's got 12 kids.
But here's the thing. So with the birth rate crisis, a woman has to have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Not the man. So one man could have 2 kids with a bunch of different women, and that's a stable population. So just because Elon's having a bunch of kids, but if he's only having 1 or 2 with a bunch of women, that's still not really solving the crisis. He's just getting more children than another man who might have none.
Well, Chris, are you saying you're volunteering to have more kids?
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna crush other men in the game of life and just spread my seed.
Yeah, are you saying you're open to studying?
Huh?
I said, are you saying you're open to studying?
Of course. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing the Destiny route. I'm not going to be the bull for Destiny, but I couldn't do it, man. You some dude sitting in the corner. Oh yeah.
No, dude, I couldn't do it either. I in all honesty, I'm way too shy for that kind of thing. I'd be like, that would just creep me out. I'd be like looking over going, bro, you're disgusting.
No, there is something to be said that on religious grounds, there's going to be an interesting, if the trends continue the way they are, like we're seeing them now, it's going to be an interesting trend because secular families have less kids, less and less and less kids. Religious families have more and more and more kids. I think, hey, my co-host Andrew comes from a religious background family, 12. He's a family of 12. 12, including him and his siblings. And you kind of look at Islamic families, same thing. They have a lot of kids. Very religious Christian Catholic families, they tend to have a lot more kids. I remember there was this guy in my school, and he back in the day he had, I think it was in a family of 9.
Jesus.
Religious family. It was insane to watch, but that trend might continue, and I don't know, it could change the population dynamics in the future. Latin American immigrants tend to be more religious. They also tend to have more kids than white secular people here in the United States. Non-religious affiliation tend to have no kids. So
it's always whenever you see a child-free person, it's always a white person. It's like.
So, it's always a white liberal.
Yeah.
Well, I'll simplify it. It doesn't be white, non-religious. If you want to, or even just say non-religious, because then you'll even categorize some of the. They tend to have even less. Like they'll have some kids, but they'll have a lower average than a religious background. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but like the whole doomer scenario, like our population, we're gonna go extinct. Like that's not how that works,
bro. I'm not like a doomer. I'm just saying the reality.
No, I'm not saying you're. I'm just saying in general. Yeah. People are like, "Oh, our whole race is going extinct. We're all gonna die." It's like that's not gonna happen because like the people that have the propensity to have children are going to have children, and that I think in some way genetically moves on to the next generation. Whereas people that never really wanted to have kids in the first place, never had that genetic makeup. Now that they have birth control, they're not going to do it. And they're going to die off
in the gene pool.
Yeah.
Simple. In my case, I mean, if for example, let's say she's not watching this, but my current girlfriend, if we end up having children at some point, they'll be relatively mixed, just so because I'm from Venezuela, but she's like more. You look at me and you don't know that, right?
Yeah.
You look at me and you're like, oh, this guy's like from I don't know, Virginia.
Yeah.
Raised
You know the Virginia
If I
face.
told you that, you would,
Yeah.
you would totally believe it, right? You wouldn't even question it, but
she?
wouldn't know. No, she's Venezuelan.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was going to ask. She's Venezuelan, and she looks like traditional. What I would go,
Well,
oh, that's a Venezuelan.
She's kind of funny because she is also like a quarter American.
Mhm.
So she's a naturalized American citizen, but she's also born and mostly raised over there. But like she has one generation ago, so her grandmother is American. Okay. But the thing I was getting at, which was the more important thing, is I've also like said for at least myself, I'm working really hard now, and I'm gonna try to have as many kids as I can afford. So I'm trying to get to that point where maybe I could take a chill off work, and then try to be like, I don't know, super present father is what.
Bro, at this point, I think you're all good there. You probably start, pumping out Elon Musk numbers, and I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they're expensive, so I mean, I could probably theoretically right now afford one more, and like give them the quality of life that they have. So if you really want to have a ton of kids, you got to make a lot of money.
Oh,
I'm doing the math.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? It's something like 250 or now it's probably double that to get a baby from 0 to 18 is like $250 or $300,000.
Well, here's the big cost. The big cost is opportunity cost of not working.
Yeah,
that's what really hurts you. Because like if you don't have kids, I mean, you should have time to you could work nonstop. But if you're watching your kids, like you literally have to watch them. You can't do anything else. So that's the biggest cost, is not being able to grow your business. Like the other stuff, like you can keep it kind of cheap.
How old are your babies now?
2 and 3.
Okay.
That's still wow.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do but sit there and hover over them like, what are you doing? Don't eat that, moron.
I mean, my son kind of plays by himself, but like, let's say I sit at a computer. My daughter's like clings on me like cling wrap. She's smacking the keyboard. My son's like, do this, do that. Like it's impossible to work. You can't freaking do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to have more kids, you'd have to have 2, wait till they go to primary school or whatever. Then you could have 2 more. You'd have to spread it out that way. Otherwise, you're screwed. So
comment.
What did he say?
He just said need to have kids.
Bill.
Well, that is a huge logistical problem, because I'm in a 3-bedroom house and I have 2 kids. So I would have to, I don't know what I would do if I had a third one. I'd probably have to put it in the freaking closet right there.
The kid gets old enough, is like, Dad, can I get my own room? Like, no, you're the closet kid. Stay in there.
Yeah, I was hoping my kids would be the same gender, so I could be like, all right, y'all are, because I would do that. I'd be like, you're bunking, and I'm popping out a third kid, and they're going in the other room. And if they are 3 the same gender, well, guess what? Double bunk beds.
You're one son, the oldest, he gets the single bed. The other 2 have the bunk bed.
Well, I'll let them fight for supremacy, but whatever happens.
Supremacy. Whoever's the strongest physically.
Yeah, bro, you're sitting there coaching them on their wrestling ability because he wrestled in high school. Like, you got to get the waist. Get his waist, pick him up, go to the ground with him.
All right, take this hammer and swing it really hard.
Smack him with it.
Yeah, I mean,
so no, you got to be big baller to have a bunch of kids, is what I'm saying.
No, I agree, dude. I mean, they're, expensive and time consuming. Because like you said, if you try to like, you know what, I'm going to take this extra job on the weekend, whatever it is, you can't sit there when your little girl is just smashing your keyboard.
She does it too. It pisses me off. And like, sometimes I wonder, like, I'm more tired on average than I was. And I'm like, is it aging or is it just the exhaustion of having kids?
No, it's just the exhaustion of having kids, man.
Yeah, it definitely. So yeah, you want to make sure you're ready to go and like be prepared to not be able to do as much as you thought you could do. At least like once they get a little bit older, that's fine. But
when you're with your kids, that requires a lot of concentration, and your brain consumes, what is it, like 20% of your caloric intake? So, I mean, you're basically just sitting there concentrating for the entire time because, yeah, I'm sure you take breaks, but you don't want them doing stupid shit, and you have to constantly monitor them.
Yeah, they need entertainment. Like, they're not just they're too young to play by themselves. Especially my daughter. Like, she literally follows me everywhere and is like super clingy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, even if I'm making food, she's like, Daddy, hug. And I'm like, I'm making food. Like, go play with your toys. Like, it's exhausting. Trust me.
You got to put him on the pouch carrier thing. I'm
bending over, I'm cooking like boiling pasta, and the water's like spouting under their heads.
Yeah. She's like trying to like slap the water.
Oh no! Oh my god, dude, it's woo.
Yeah. So,
but stay-at-home mom is the way to go. If you can make that happen, that's the way to go. Instead of doing the whole daycare thing.
Dude, one of the ladies I was working with told me the amount she was spending on daycare, before the kids got off to, school. And I couldn't believe it. So I think she was spending like $1,500 a month or maybe even more. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
We pay $2,240 combined. I mean, I pay half of it, but so like that's $1,100 a month that is going to daycare instead of VT, and then you got other expenses, and you got the car, but at some point, unless I have more kids, there will be a point where all those expenses start to fade away. Hopefully, we'll see.
It's called well in other cultures.
I'll be right back.
It's called what?
It's called in-laws.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I want my parents to move down here, and they're thinking about retiring in the next couple of years, so that would be helpful. But by the time they come down here, kids probably won't even need the help.
Yeah, because I guess that's like some people, like the in-laws are like, no, not our issue. We're done with that. But then other families, it's like, yes, they like want that to happen. And back in the olden days, there was like it took a village to raise the kids, not just like literally only two people.
I mean, that's kind of the point of grandparents. Like, they're there to. Yeah. I mean, they're what else are you doing? Sitting on your butt? Like, they can help a little bit, especially if you're sick or something.
Well, that was a lot of the role that my grandparents played when I was in that age group. My folks were working, busting their ass off, building a business, and then there was, me, right, and other siblings, and then that's what the grandparents actually played a really important role for. So because it freed up their time, and I still got a lot of the same, care. In fact, actually, I think the grandparents spoil you more. they discipline you less. No, they discipline you less. I feel like something happens when you become a grandparent. You're just kind of like, well, I'm gonna spoil you. You can do no wrong.
I'm gonna make you into a brat. Why not?
Yeah. To some extent, yeah.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you? They don't have the primary caretaking responsibility. Now it's just like a good time.
Yeah, it's a good time.
It's like
grandparents have it good because they can go there. Like, kids can be fun in the short term, but if they're hanging around you 24/7, that's when it gets exhausting. But the grandparents can be like, all right, well, I'm going home. Talk to you later.
Yeah, you know, you can. You're like, yeah, I just need a break. So the grandparents are watching them, and then you know, you come home from dinner or a movie, and they're like, "Oh, here's your kids. I gave them soda." So they're just bouncing off the walls.
Yeah, I have a good deal. So my parents get up super early. So when I go up there, obviously, if the kids get up at night, I'm with them. But in the morning, like 5, 6 o'clock, if they wake up early, my parents just take them, and I sleep in till like 8 o'clock, and it's nice.
Yeah, dude. What time do your kids normally get up?
It honestly varies. Like sometimes they just randomly wake up at 6, and sometimes it's 7, or sometimes they sleep all night and it's 8. Like it's unpredictable.
It's unpredictable.
Like every time when I have them, I'm just like praying. I'm like, please God, just sleep until 7 at least. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't.
Well, what time do you normally get up for work?
7:20. I roll out of bed.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So I can see how you'd want to sleep till like, 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, I got up at 8 this morning. I don't really sleep in past 8 o'clock, but when it gets like 5 or 6, that's when it can be painful.
Yeah, I got up at the crack at 10:30.
Love it.
Well, I don't go to bed till like 2:30.
Yeah, I used to be like that, but I finally got my routine down. Pop a melatonin at like 10:30, and I'm out by 11:30.
Well, dude, I don't even walk into the door of my house till 12:30 at night.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you're on a shift. Like I'm off work at 4:30, and then I go home, work out, eat. So I'm on a totally different schedule.
That's why you do the late live streams. I was always wondering. It's like this man. I was wondering why you do the late night live streams. Like you're out there like live streaming at, I'll pop it in when I'm like brushing my teeth for.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, I just prefer second shift. It just works for my. If I worked Chris's shift, I'd be in bed at like 9.
Yeah.
I mean, if I got off at 4:30, I'd come home, do some shit, clean, sit around. I'd be like, what am I going to do? Stay up watching YouTube? Just rather go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually done with side work at I usually stop at 9, and then I just lay in bed, maybe watch a little bit of TV, and then start reading, take a melatonin about 10:30.
Yeah, no. But yeah, that's why I can do those late night live streams.
Yeah, he's always freaking live when I'm like laying down to bed, and then I see a Jay Nagy live stream come up, and I'm like, I love you, Jay, but I'm going to sleep.
Bro, I wouldn't expect you to stay up and watch the nonsense that I do. Say ridiculous shit and then just react to my comments.
Well, imagine as we get closer to the election, the nonsense, as you say, will increase.
I think I'm going to stay up late that night. I'm actually pretty excited.
I want to see that.
I can't wait. I'm so excited for
this. You got to do a reaction stream.
Yeah, you could.
You have to. You have to. Yes, you do specifically.
Okay. I'll get off of work, come home.
I mean, you're the political guy. You're more in tune than all of us.
We'll be seeing we'll know probably by the end of the night more.
No, dude, there's a lot of shit coming out right now where they're saying like in Maricopa County, they won't know until the 9th. And I'm like, this is all bullshit. Up until 2016, they could, we knew that night that Trump won. And now 8 years later, you're telling me I don't know, man. I think this is all bullshit cheating. It should be hand ballots. They should be paper ballots counted by hand. And that's how the election worked for however many number of years in this country. And we knew by the end of the night.
Well, as a Venezuelan, if they are cheating, then get pwned. It's over.
It's like, oh, we needed, 121,000 votes in 14 exactly to win. And somehow we got one more than that 6 days after the election. Like, oh yeah, this is totally on the up and up.
I always love that vertical line chart where it's got like you got the both trend and the votes, and then it just like jumps. I forgot what state that was for Biden.
Yeah. Yeah, there was no fuckery at all. That was the freest, fairest election in history. Like, if you have to tell me that it was the freest, fairest election in history, I know you cheated. Because it's like, in an NBA game, when one team wins, nobody goes, this was the fairest game we've ever played. It's only when you're cheating do you say that kind of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
If there is cheating, then I'd give up. If.
Yeah.
Trump's going to win, okay? Be confident. I'm feeling good about this election. Maybe that's a bad thing.
If there is cheating, that's impossible.
Yeah, I just didn't like what Fabio said. I'm going to stay home because Trump's got it locked up. I'm like, that's what they want you to think. Go vote like he's behind by 5 points.
Oh, I'm voting. I know Virginia's blue, but I'm going. I would love to see Virginia go red, but
Virginia once upon a time was red.
Yeah, this DC, man, it's bad up there. It's a bunch of swamp creatures sucking away the nation's wealth to pay their salaries.
Well, I don't understand their propensity. It's like you move to an area, right? You leave California or you leave LA and you move out to another area of California and you go, oh, this is great. There's no homeless people. Nobody's shitting on the sidewalk. You know what we need to do? Let's take over the town council and make this place a shithole too. It's like all these people that work in DC, they're like, Washington, D.C.'s a cesspit. Let's move out to Virginia and make that a cesspit too.
Yeah, I mean, with DC specifically, it's just a natural result of, government money. Because, obviously the Democrats are all, government employees are one of their demographics. And obviously it's the nation's capital, so naturally a lot of the money and the government employees are going to be eventually wound up working in and around DC.
Well, I don't know if this is correct, but I'll throw it out there anyways, but I believe the most expensive zip code is somewhere north of Washington, D.C., and it's all filled with lobbyists.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, if you drive, because my parents live up in that area, huge houses, everybody's making 150, 200K or more a year. They're all either a government employee or they're government adjacent, like contractors. It's just, it really is a huge swamp up there. It's bad. And it's obvious that it's just they're grifting off the nation.
What are you talking about? They're public servants, Chris.
Yeah, yeah. How many times I've heard that line? God. If you have to constantly extol your virtues, you're probably a grifter.
Yeah. It's it's pretty much if you have to repeat that thing, we know you're the opposite. It's like Michael Jordan doesn't have to tell you he's the best basketball player. You just know. You're like, oh, that's MJ. He's the best basketball player. It's like when, Khabib was UFC champion, he didn't have to tell you he was the best fighter at 155. You just all kind of knew it.
Yeah, government employees, they really have no leg to stand on. When you're in the military, you could potentially risk your life. So oh yeah, you're a defender of America. But a government employee, you just work a regular job. I don't know how that makes you a hero. But you see that propaganda sometimes, and it's hilarious.
Well, because, our government does what all governments do. And they want you, as the average citizen, to look up to them to solve your problems. And, if there was any recent evidence of this is not the case, you could just look to what happened in Appalachia with Hurricane Helene. It's civil. Yeah, there's government employees up there, and I'm sure a lot of them at the ground level, it appears to me that the employees at the ground level, they want to just do their job and do it to the best of their ability. The problem is that the people that don't want to do their job and want to play politics, those are the people that rise up and start calling the shots, because they want power. Whereas it's like another dude's like, yeah, this is my job. I want to do it. But yeah, it's all civilians helping people up there in Asheville. It's like, oh, the government's like, oh, you lost your house? Here's $750. Don't you go and spend that on a new toy. Don't spend all of it. Put some of that $750 away for a rainy day. You're like, bro, my house just got washed away. I know.
That almost happened to you, Jay.
Oh, I know.
I thought you were gonna die. I'm serious. Like,
yeah, Cole was texting me. He goes, Fabio and Chris are freaking out. And I'm like, dude, it's going to pass south of me. But
because like I saw the videos, like, here's how high the water's going to go. And I'm like, dude, you're going to be underwater if that happens. Like, what would you have done?
I'm not in a flood zone. That's why I stayed.
Like, it's impossible to flood.
I'm not going to say it's impossible, dude.
But highly unlikely.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's unlikely. And I mean, don't get me wrong, dude. There were some times where we got some wind gusts where I was like, Jesus Christ. Some of the wind gusts I got had to be 80 or 90 miles an hour.
Whew. It's a freaking tree falling on your. I don't know if you have trees around your house, but
yeah, even if it was like 70. I mean, I don't know what the highest wind gust was, but so I'm just throwing it out there, and people are generally poor at estimating wind speed. But I'm just saying there were a few times where wind gusts made me nervous. I'm sitting in my house with no power on, my phone's going, and I would hear one of those wind gusts. I'm like, oh, dude, that's making me nervous. And there are 2 trees that I was worried about. And I was kind of just sitting there going, yeah, if I hear it, I had my car in the garage. And I'm like, if something comes through my roof, I'm going to evacuate to my garage and sleep in my car.
Yeah. I think the town that was really messed up from this was Sarasota, but they were already messed up from the last one.
Yeah, my friend, she took off to Alabama with her family because the eye was supposed to pass within 10 feet of her house.
Yeah, so she was going to get the...
Yeah, and she said there was no damage. Her house was fine. But yeah, she's got 2 little ones, man. So if I had 2 little ones, I would have taken off.
Yeah. No, it's kind of funny this time around that the weather people were just like freaking out. There was that one guy who cried. Remember that?
I didn't see that. No.
So dude, for whatever reason, the whole country was obsessed with this hurricane. For the Floridians, like they were like, "Oh my God, they're dead. They're done. It's over." No, and I was only worried about the storm surge.
Yeah,
that's like the wind was, and I was like, where I'm at, nothing. It's not going to be anything, and that's exactly what happened. It's like nothing happened. There were hurricanes where, like, at least like when you woke up in the morning, you go outside and you're like, oh, there's like branches on the floor. It's like there wasn't even branches on the floor, and I wasn't that far from the eye, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't understand when you're pretty far inland. That storm breaks up rapidly when it hits land.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much friction and resistance, and there's nothing to feed the storm. So, like, a lot of times, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say like a Cat 5 can't come through here and just cause mass devastation. But when I was looking at it and I'm going, okay, it's projected to go south, and I was talking to my family a lot because they were worried. But I was like, now that it's projected to go to, Sarasota, I wasn't that worried.
Yeah.
Again, because I'm not in a flood zone. But I've talked to some people around here, man. You know, one guy, he's a blue collar dude that does everything, kind of a handyman. And he had a brand new trailer. And he had all these new paint guns, seawater in them. I'm like, bro, your shit's fucked.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know. He's like, dude, and I just bought those paint guns. He goes, my trailer, we'll see how much longer, you know, the electrical system works. And I go, dude, not that long. But there was also people down here who I don't know why they did this. They were in the flood zone and they left like their electric vehicle in the garage. And I'm like, do you guys not understand whether it's an e-bike or an electric car? As soon as that seawater hits that battery, it's catching on fire. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, there were a bunch of people around here, man. They had fires in their garages.
Yeah, and you can't just put out those fires with water.
No, you got to use fire retardant chemicals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, all right, boys. I think that might be the conclusion of the stream. You guys got any final comments?
Nah, I got to go. Dude, I got to go anyways. I got to go get a tire changed, man. You know, got a slow leak.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, I haven't eaten, and then I got to go there because I got a slow leak in my tire. A fucking screw. And it's on the outer wall, so they can't patch it.
My final message is I would like to propose to the public a convertible bond. Stated interest. I'll up the market competition 6% paid monthly.
It's passive income, bro.
Passive income.
Oh God, the passive income thing.
6%, not 5%. 5%, man. 6%.
All right. Well, thank you guys, and have a wonderful, delicious day. Cheers.
You know, earlier after the chef earnings came out, I feel like there was several people that were kind of like attacking me, and you know, it might not have been the agenda or whatever, but you can't control how somebody else interprets it. I interpreted it as like, Jeremy, you don't know what the fuck you're doing anymore. You're clueless. That's how it came across to me. That might not